experiences. So today we are joined by Mr. Sudhakar Dayal. Yeah, he's a IITN BHU and a nuclear power plant engineer, a knowledge management expert, and a spiritual master as well. And of course, a guru and a mentor to many students. Who have been lucky to be trained by him, whether they were at BARC where he worked, or whether they were at a college where he taught very recently. So let's get started. Welcome, Mr. Dayal, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Madam Malti. Actually, it's a bit of an overstatement that you said that exclusive. I mean, all those adjectives are not so much applicable to me. It may be applicable to others.
No, I think that's the way most of the seniors think about themselves. I think that's all right. That that's a kind of a humble way of stating about ourselves.
Okay.
Let me start by asking about your childhood. I remember that you told me that you belong to Prayag, right?
That's
यहाँ पे
right.
एक बहुत बड़ा कुंभ मेला भी चल रहा है आजकल, right?
That's right. Kumbh
So
Mela
what
is,
are your recollections of your of your childhood and and Prayagraj as it used to be, as it is called now? What do you recollect of your childhood?
Actually, in Kumbh Mela was every year it takes place in the month of Magh. 12 years it is called Kumbh Mela. Now it is coming after 144 years, so it is called Mahakumbh.
Okay.
And this 12-year cycle is based on the revolution of Jupiter. Like Jupiter completes one circle around the sun. So somewhere it is related to our celestial system or our solar system, that after every 12 years the Jupiter completes one whole circle around the sun. Like we complete our own this thing in 1 year. So that is how it is. And large number of people gather. There is no advertisement, there is no publicity or media. They just come based on faith and everything. And I remember that when Gandhiji went to Kumbh Mela for the first time, he saw so many people there, and out of faith they are coming there. There is no logic or reason or motivation given. They are just coming just like that. So he said, he has written in his autobiography that so many people cannot be wrong, but I am not able to find out what drives them to come and attend this.
So let me ask you, as a scientist, as a nuclear engineer, nuclear power engineer, how do you relate that spirituality to your scientific profession?
Oh, sure. I will. In my subsequent talks, I will relate to that. But something very simple I wanted to cover later on, but I will tell you that everyone has seen sundial.
Yes.
Sundial, which the sun casts shadow on a plate or some such thing, and then it is calibrated and it shows time.
Yes.
Okay. But if you see the simple sundial, the inclination of that triangular thing, the edge, the slanting edge, it is parallel to the axis of Earth. So everybody knows sundial, but if you imagine that this simple slope is parallel to the axis of Earth, and I still wonder how human beings could discover that if it is angle, if it is slanted at such and such angle, that it will start showing time. And it's one of the more the earliest clocks or time measurement of time is there in the daytime. In night time, what do they do? In night time, what do they do? They measure the angle of that Saptarishi. Okay. So when it is required to measure time at the night time, when they are going in sea, and then they travel day and night in sea, and in night time they from pole star they measure the angle of those uh, Saptarishi, or I don't know, polar bear they call it, and from there they're able to measure time in the night time, and in daytime it is connected to
Sun.
kind of sun. Okay, then another thing which really uh, surprises me that whenever there is full moon, you'll find that high tides are there
Yes.
at the seashore. So, I mean, human beings were not knowing about gravity and attraction and attractive forces and repulsive forces, but somewhere they have uh, concluded or interpreted or just thought. They said that actually uh, moon is the sun of uh, the sea. So whenever the sea watches his own sun in full bloom, the sea tries to catch moon by coming at the, mm, I mean, it's in the form of high tides. And actually now the geologists have found that at some point of time a big meteorite has collided from Earth, and a big part of Earth has just got dislodged, and over a period of time it became moon.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
the human thought, the way of thinking, and the actually what they are discovering now, uh, there is some kind of link is there in between.
There
But
are fascinating stories. I would say these are fascinating stories also. In a way, I think what things used to be explained maybe a little bit more in a story like now, I think it's more logical, more
right,
scientific. We are able to use some scientific terms.
right.
And, the facts may remain the same. I think the fact of the matter may remain the same. It's only the
Mm,
representation of it may be
mm,
somewhat different. But let's
mm.
come back to your childhood. You told
Okay,
me in an earlier conversation that you had got selected for IIT Delhi, but your father made you join BHU
okay.
IIT.
Okay, so I'll start from Allahabad only when I was child, and I still remember we had kerosene lamps in our houses, and the people, I mean, there was a survey which was conducted, and the electrical people they were coming, and they were asking the public. They were asking the public that is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, AC. So they were asking people that you want AC power supply or DC power supply. Hmm. So then my father asked that why you are asking this? Whatever supply you give it. They said no, no. If more people go for AC, then we will have a network of alternating current. Otherwise, we will go for direct current. So that was the thing. And uh, uh, if you see this thing carefully, ah, no, it is not visible to me at least.
Yes, yes.
Right, right.
Partially it is. Yes.
Huh. So, so actually, the direct current was owned by Thomas Alva Edison, which became a very big company later on, which is called General Electric. And alternating current was invented by Nicholas Tesla, and that too itself became a big company which is called Westinghouse. They are still now. These companies are still existing now. So we had DC. So and there was a corporate war between the Edison company and
Was it? I'm very surprised that 1960s or 70s maybe corporate war हुआ करता
55, 55, 50s. I'm
55.
talking
Okay.
50, around 55. I'm talking about that.
Okay.
Okay, so that is a different story, and we will not talk about that. And then what happened that from there, from Allahabad, I got select. I was admitted to an English missionary school, which is called Saint Anthony. It was a very prestigious school, and it was a convent school. And I mean, they were teaching about in English. They were teaching, and the teachers and mothers, they used to come from Italy, and
Okay. वहां से आते थे.
Italy. वहां से आते थे, and basically it is owned by Italian
Missionary.
missionaries, Italian missionaries, and they were also teaching some of the poor students also, which I mean they were taking them to Italy also. So that was the thing.
आप नहीं है उसमें?
नहीं 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 उसका there is a dark side of that story that they were used to do menial jobs over there. I mean,
Oh,
poor people were taking and for years they will not be having any information about their own
oh,
children,
okay.
and they are so poor that they cannot even go to court and ask that where my child has gone and that kind of
Oh,
thing.
okay, okay.
So that was the dark part, but let us not discuss about
चलिए
it.
बीएचयू पे आते हैं मिस्टर दयाल.
Okay.
बीएचयू आईआईटी, हाउ वाज योर एक्सपीरियंस? 5 साल वहां पे कैसे रहे?
Okay. BHU, what happened that when I was in inter college, like I was in government inter college Allahabad. So there is a nice library attached to it, which is called Central State Library. Central State Library. So whenever we are having free period or half day or something, I used to go to that library. And I mean, there's so many books on different subjects which are other than our textbooks and other things. I mean, a lot of things were there to read and see and all those. There, I have decided that if I study hard enough, I may get selected into IIT.
You wanted to be an engineer all along?
My father wanted me to become an engineer. I was not knowing what is engineer or doctor or whatever. In fact, somebody is having a job that was other. I mean, I was not uh, even aware of that. There is a class, different levels of class in the society also. So my father wanted to make me an engineer, and right from the beginning, he was explaining almost everything to me, whatever he knew technically. Like he told
वो
me
क्या
that
करते थे? What did your father do?
my father was in Accountant General's office,
Okay.
AG's office. So
Okay.
they are still doing accounting of government government units and public sector units
Sure.
and this kind of thing. And they are able to find out by expenditure itself, they are able to find out whether the money has been utilized properly or not, which is now being done by computer. Of course, now AG office is also
CAG is still there. CAG
huh,
office is still there at the central
still
and
there,
state.
but they are using computers more and more nowadays.
Of course.
So I got selected in from uh, from GIC. I did from Allahabad University. From GIC, I joined BSc and joined Allahabad University, University of Allahabad. Okay, University of Allahabad was a British Bombay. So from Allahabad to Varanasi to Bombay, it was a big cultural change in Bombay, and there is everything. Every price is very high. There is no accommodation to live, and uh, I mean, I used to stay in Goregaon at that point of time, and fortunately, there was a bus provided by Larsen and Toubro from Goregaon to Powai. So every day we used to shuttle and then this thing. I was in electrical switchgear of this thing. So from mechanical engineering background, I got uh, I got a lot of ideas about electrical circuits and contactors and all those things. There in Larsen and Toubro, people used to talk very highly about BARC, Baba Atomic Research Center. So I decided that I will give my interview, but I was not very hopeful that I'll be able to get it. So in BRC, I applied and they have called me for interview. And in interview, they have asked about science fundamentals and whatever we have studied in all the 4 years of engineering. Each and everything, smallest thing they have asked for more in most details. And that interview was lasted for 1.5 hours. After 1.5 hours, I had a blackout. I was not knowing where I am standing, and I mean, I then complete disorientation. But after the interview, they told me that you have been selected and you'll be informed in due course of time. So I got selected in BARC. About 40 engineers were selected. So some of the most prestigious institutes at that time were BARC and TIFR. TIFR was taking only pure scientists, but not engineers. But BRC, all these things are there. In BRC, 1 year, very tough training was there. I mean, it was one of the toughest part of my training, and some of the very brilliant scientists and engineers.
किसी एक टीचर का नाम या किसी एक साइंटिस्ट का नाम आपको ज्यादा रिकलेक्ट हो, या who influenced you the most during that period?
Uh, Influence most in that period was our GS, what was that? GS Singh, Dr. GS Singh was there, and
Okay.
he was a mathematics. He used to teach us and mathematics and what is that? Finite element methods. Later
Okay.
on, he went to France. He went to France, and then I don't know whether he settled there or not. But
Okay.
nuclear, lot of things about nuclear aspects and these kind of things. But they wanted to retain me at BARC itself. But in Bombay, accommodation was a very, very big problem, and the government salary was very less. I mean, very less. So it was very difficult to hang on in Bombay. So I decided to go to Kota, that is the Rawat Bhatta, RAPP is there. And RAPP was just, it's a atomic power station is
Yeah,
there.
I would just interrupt for a minute here.
Hmm.
For our I mean, you are an engineer and a nuclear power plant engineer at that.
Hmm.
What is the nuclear, the concept of nuclear power? If lay person के लिए क्या understanding हो सकती है उसकी?
देखिए क्या है कि बेसिकली whatever power we are getting, suppose coal power is there. So coal, what is happening that there are uh, trees are there, and trees they get power accumulated from sun, and then the coal gets buried, and then the trees get buried, and they can get converted into coal. But nuclear power, what is happening? It is the only power which is not coming from sun. Okay.
Okay.
So that was one thing. And what we are doing, basically we are breaking the nucleus of an atom.
Okay.
And say uranium nucleus is broken into 2 or 3 fragments. And whatever energy is released, that is being converted into electrical power.
It may sound very silly if I can ask you, what is the raw material for nuclear power plant?
Nuclear power plant, uranium metal is the uranium oxide.
Okay.
Uranium oxide is there, and
Mm-hmm.
that uranium oxide is burned in the uh, is basically the uranium oxide is exposed to neutrons, and
Mm-hmm.
those neutrons break the atom of uranium, and then boron and krypton are fission fragments, and then the heat is generated, and that heat is used to convert the steam, and from steam it is turbines are run, and then those turbines they are connected to generator, and power is generated.
Okay.
So
So
that is the thing.
as an expert engineer on nuclear power plant, do you think that's the best way of energy, to be made available to common people? Is it the best form? आजकल जैसे बहुत सारा solar energy का बहुत हो गया है. Like, is this still the cheapest and the best?
See, what happens that nuclear energy generates nuclear waste, and that
Okay.
waste disposal is a big issue everywhere. Like Japan, country like Japan is making nuclear energy, fine.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens for nuclear waste? What they are doing? They are just dumping it in sea where nobody is looking, and then there's those ships they just run away from there. So that is not fair or unethical, because that radioactivity is being dumped into the sea, and it will cause harm to
I
the.
would assume Japan to be a very ethical country to practice.
See, when it comes to, they have no resources, they have no land to bury those, uh, to dump those
Very deep in the earth, that's not possible.
deep in the earth, but that is costly itself. No, you have to dig a hole, and that
Okay.
itself will require energy. But you just take your ship in the night time and dump that thing anywhere in the sea. Nobody is looking.
I'm pretty
And
shocked to hear this. I think this is a news to me, not only to me, to many of the people who are hearing this podcast.
no,
Okay.
no, they just. I mean, the media, whatever we get in media and whatever are the realities, there is a there's a lot of differences there in between. It is not being reported. Like just quite recently, if you see that our foreign minister was asked, Mr. Jaishankar was asked by British media that what is happening to human rights in India. There are so
Hmm.
many human rights violations.
Correct, correct.
So Jaishankar said that after ruling, Britishers have ruled for 1.5 centuries, and now we have to learn lesson from of human rights from you. So those journalists themselves have started laughing at what
It,
kind of human rights they are talking about.
yes.
So whatever is there in media and what is ground realities are way different, way different.
Very different. So tell me one thing that you spoke about quota, and then also you told me that I think then from there to you shifted to Aligarh, a power plant
Power
near
plant, right, right,
Aligarh. What
right,
is
right.
a typical day of a nuclear power plant engineer?
See,
What do they do?
actually in Kota, what happened that when we were there at Kota, it was being built by Canadians. So all Indian engineers were happy. The Canadians will bring some manuals and then they will see those drawings and they will do the construction erection. That was the time of Indira Gandhi, and Indira Gandhi exploded a nuclear bomb.
Hmm.
So because
Okay.
of nuclear bomb, these Canadian people they don't have nuclear bombs. Canada doesn't have nuclear bomb.
Okay.
And the small chela whom they are trying to help, they are exploding nuclear bombs. So they were asked to
Okay.
within 10 days time, they were asked that all Canadians should pack up and leave.
Okay.
And since all Indian engineers were happily sitting that, okay, these Canadian engineers will read the manuals and construct according to these drawings, and they will hand it over to us on a platter, like a piece of cake. Suddenly they are not there. Now we have started reading those flow sheets. What is the meaning of those flow sheets, and what is written in those manuals, and then trying to uh, it was half built. RAPP one was half built, so now we are trying to figure out how to complete the whole project. So this is how it has started. So it was a very unexpected kind of situation, I would say.
Okay.
Uh, in port in from Rajasthan, of course, we were able to construct that both the units, and RAPP two is still working. RAPP two is still working, and now there we are having about 6 nuclear power plants in Rawat.
Okay. Yes.
So it was such a far away place, and only once a week vegetables were available. It's a basically semi-desert area. So only Sunday to Sunday we will get vegetables. Otherwise, there are no vegetables. So if
Mm-hmm.
you have missed uh, missed shopping or Sunday shopping, then you have to wait till next Sunday. Then only you will be able to get some green
But
vegetables
are there
available.
very long working hours that you have to maintain, and in very tough, hot,
It's
humid conditions you have to work
it
or something?
it's actually what happened that uh, it's a sort of mission. It's not 9 to 5 job. I
Ah,
mean, there's a given job, and no matter what energy or efforts you put in, you have to work on that. So,
okay,
like I was there, and there was a major breakdown in. I just got married in 1981, February 1981, and in October, November, there what happened that there was a major breakdown, and all young engineers they were put on 24-hour shift duty.
okay.
And if your reliever is not coming, then you have to uh, work for another 24 hours, and then only you'll get relief. So when my wife saw this, she asked me that, are you really an engineer or you are just a casual worker in this? It's such a remote place, and the working conditions are so tough.
Was she also with you? You told me that she's PhD in biotechnology.
She,
Was she also with you?
she was doing biochemistry, and her PhD was almost complete. But then her father decided that marriage is more important than completing her career. So we had no choice. My father said, by such and such year, I will get you married no matter what. So similarly, her father
Okay.
also got her married, and she came to me in such a deserted place, and that
Okay.
too with such a tough working conditions. So she was wondering whether I'm really an engineer, IIT engineer, or just pretending to be something. And
Yes.
UP and Bihar, they are quite notorious for such kind of scandalous marriages and this kind of
Ah.
thing.
Oh, okay.
So that
Oh,
was the
no
thing.
wonder. No
Mhm.
wonder.
Okay.
Like if being an engineer, with very sound technical knowledge, and then you told me that you had shifted also later on to the knowledge management system. What
Mhm.
is one piece of technical advice you think, which is good for even common people to apply? One should try to understand. It doesn't matter one is engineer or not.
Mhm.
One something, some technical, uh, let's say technical understanding of things, which is helpful to common people as well.
See what happened that one of my teacher, I still remember, Mr. Petkar was there.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that Mr. Dayal, you must always remember that we are trying to develop nuclear technology of international standards
Mm-hmm.
in a country where even a glass of drinking water is not available of international standards. If you just take a glass of drinking water from anywhere and you try to apply its standards, it is not, even drinking water, a glass of drinking water is not available. That was way back in 1980s, 81. Now, of course, we are having bottled waters and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that much of dedication or sacrifice or service, you must be ready to solve almost all the problems which are coming in your way. So
Okay.
that almost all the engineers are highly motivated and they pay very high price uh, for their at the cost of their even families also.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow their children are very well. Uh, they see their parents working very hard and they are pretty well off.
Mm-hmm.
That is the thing.
Okay. So there is a compensation, so to say that, I mean, the compensation may be the kind of satisfaction you get out of a job good done.
Right,
आपने
right.
बोला ना कि वो एक मिशन मोड है, वो एक मिशन की फीलिंग है कि मिशन
Exactly,
है, ये जॉब नहीं है, मिशन
exactly,
है। और वो
exactly.
एक बड़ी डिफरेंट फीलिंग है जो
Uh,
शायद बहुत मुश्किल है, सब लोगों के लिए पॉसिबल नहीं, सब लोगों की जॉब में शायद वो फीलिंग नहीं आती है, बट जिनकी आती
uh,
है मुझे पर्सनली लगता है कि वो बहुत फॉर्चुनेट है who have this
right.
sense of mission in their job.
Like I'll tell you that just 2 or 3 years before retirement, I was working on learning management system,
Yes,
electronics.
yes.
That is basically an open source and it has come from Australia. And this is called Moodle. So I was working on that and I was trying to implement it in our own organization. So even office people were asking me that why you are going to retire within a few years. Why you are working so hard? Hmm. And you know that nobody is taking interest in that. I said no matter what, this is my learning about it, and I could implement it, and I could show it in working condition. But since I retired, so I told all those things to a young engineer, and still he is he is working on that, and then it's quite it's still being used over there. That software, learning management system software.
Yeah, I think when we spoke last, when we had a chat with you last, you told me about your passion for continuous learning.
All
And,
right.
and in our tutors group, I do see that sometimes you share knowledge on atom and share knowledge on diverse subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you gather that knowledge? Do you keep learning new things, or like how do you
No,
keep
actually,
yourself updated?
see when I was in basically when I was in Rajasthan, I was in nuclear training center. And what happened that in nuclear training center, it was one of its own kind of training center in the whole of Asia.
Okay.
Even China had no such facility over there. Now China has overtaken us because of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So there we had something called this is called SAT
Okay. SAT.
SAT
Okay.
SAT. This
Uh-huh.
is called a systematic approach to training.
Oh, very nice.
Systematic approach to training. If
Okay.
some of our tutors they are willing to learn, then we can have a separate sessions for tutor themselves. And for every subject, there is something called a basic unit. Like for language, there is something called alphabets or words.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, we make sentences, paragraphs, and whatnot. See, for biology, there is something called cell. The
Yes.
minimum thing is that cell.
Yes.
And from cell onward, they say the different types of cell are there. For electrical engineer, there is something called, okay, electrical electrons or whatever, like that. So in SAT or systematic approach of training, there is something I will say that if you read it our other way around, like if you see from TASK, task.
Okay.
So the basic unit of SAT is task.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, task. Now for task, for every task there is something called, there is something beginning and there is a definite end. Hmm.
Okay.
Like if you go to an ATM machine, we do something, and okay, now thank you, and then you're supposed to get the money or regret or whatever, and your task is over. Okay, so every job can be broken into a series or parallel of tasks. Okay, and then uh, this is the second thing is there, which is there that uh, any job. Hmm. Any job should be broken into series of simpler tasks. And then what happens that now all these tasks put together make a job, and then everyone has to perform the job, and that is the thing. Now,
So about the knowledge management system that you try to establish in your job,
hmm,
uh, how do you think in today's world when everything every now chat GPT and generative AI has become the buzzword, do you think that the traditional knowledge management systems are relevant, how they can modify or how they can transform with today's technology? Like what would be the best way to kind of make this Gen Z, as they say, attracted to learning things and making it
okay,
solid knowledge base as
okay,
such for
okay,
them?
okay. I'll tell you. I'll give you one example. Like earlier, you see, earlier machines were hand driven or animal driven. Then came steam engines. So everywhere they were putting steam engines, and then instead of hand driven or animal driven, the machines were steam driven.
Yes.
Then came electricity, and everything electrical motor was put, and then it is now motor driven. So similarly, this AI or artificial intelligence or Chat GPT. Now in Chat GPT can be applied to any subject, any subject, and then how it is going to be used, that depends on its application specific. But we cannot say that Chat GPT can replace knowledge management or Chat GPT can replace systematic approach of training. Systematic approach of training will be assisted by Chat GPT or artificial
Do
intelligence.
you make use of chat GPT in your in your day-to-day life or
Uh,
for anything?
Uh, well, yes, I do make. In fact, uh, on on social media, if somebody asks me, like recently there was something called docking incident of India has done docking in space.
I said, oh, yes, yes.
ISRO has done. Now, what happened that our own engineers, we are having a group of engineers, we were all nuclear engineers. They were telling, what is this docking? So immediately I asked ChatGPT, okay, what is docking? And it gave a nice write-up to me, and then I polished it and put my own name on that, as if I have done all those things. Then it was presented to them. So they came to know that, yes, this is what is docking in space.
So one of the issues that I feel presently that we have is that the technology changes very fast. So the knowledge becomes a little outdated. So how what would be your message to today's generation?
Okay.
Like the ways of learning have changed. Technology is changing very fast.
Hmm.
Things become outdated very fast. Their
Right,
skills
right,
and training become outdated.
right.
So,
Hmm.
what would be your suggestion or advice to the young engineers who are, coming up in the career now?
Okay. Okay. See, I will quote only Swami Vivekanand because I don't know much about this thing. He says, see, like if you see a tree, if you see a small tree, it has got smaller roots or less deep root. If you see a big tree, it has got deeper roots. So similarly, if any materialistic thing is coming up, uh, the society will adopt those things. But unless it's deep rooted in spirituality, they are going to make mess out of it. And this is exactly what is happening. Earlier drones were supposed to uh, deliver medicines or deliver important things or deliver some life-saving drugs from here to there. Now drones are being used in wars because because there is no consciousness or responsibility attached with that kind of development. Okay. Now people are going for very high paying jobs. Okay. But one fine day when that their job is over, they find that they are fired from that the job itself. So modern technology with philosophy, if it is not there, then it is going to, I mean,
Maybe philosophy is good at our age. We have crossed so many decades, and now we can be philosophic about things. That brings me, in fact, to an interesting turn, or the knowledge I came to know about you, your interest in the spiritual side. And you said you are a big follower or a fan of that autobiography of a yogi
of a
changed your
yogi. Okay.
life.
Okay. Okay.
So how
So
did that happen?
actually, what happened,
You mentioned that you were आप भगवत गीता की क्लासेस तो वहां अटेंड कर रहे थे
hmm,
बीएचयू में, राइट?
right, right,
तो
right.
कुछ फाउंडेशन तो वहीं बन गया होगा, नहीं?
Huh, I have heard there what happened that I have heard J. Krishnamurti live. I have attended live sessions of J. Krishnamurti.
Mm-hmm.
J. Krishnamurti used to come to Banaras, and there is something called Basant College, Basanta College or Basant College, and he used
Mm-hmm.
to come there, and I have attended those lectures. Then I have attended those lectures of Mahesh Yogi. He has come to BHU itself, and Mahesh Yogi told something very good. Like if you, he said that Mahesh Yogi, apart from spirituality, he said that if you see somebody who is a very good runner of 100-meter Olympics, he is a winner of 100-meter Olympics. Now, for that 100-meter thing, he ran at his best. But how he could do that? Because when he is not running, he could take rest very deeply. He could take rest properly. That is why he is able to perform very nicely in that 100-meter dash.
Okay.
So similarly, if we have to perform academically, very high academic performance, we have to uh, we have to pacify our mind, or very deeply we have to make our own inner silence, increase our own inner silence. Then only we are able to perform better.
But
You,
don't you think it is becoming the reverse, the chatter of social media, Insta, Twitter, whatnot? I mean, I don't even know perhaps all the social media that the youngsters use these days.
Hmm.
It's really difficult for them to quieten their mind, right? Even for me or for anyone for that matter.
Okay. If you ask any psychologist, I think psychologists will be better, will be able to answer this question better. I'm an engineer, so
नहीं,
I
आप
really.
अपना वो एक्सपीरियंस बताइए जो आपका वो जो आपने सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन कोर्स अटेंड करा.
Okay. See what happens that this social media is basically reducing there is something called MAS, minimum attention span. You just see for a few minutes and then you just uh, raise your finger and go to some other thing. You just see for 10 seconds and then you. So what is happening that because of social media, that minimum attention span is getting reduced.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas these kind of things, they require that even Yogananda live uh, meditation sessions I'm attending, they last for 45 minutes. 45 minutes you have to uh, still your body and mind, all those things. So to perform better, we have to uh, maintain our inner peace. Then only we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the thing. And uh, with this kind of Yogananda, I came. Actually, my daughter was in San Diego, and she was very much disturbed because of her job pressures and other. So one day I said, okay, let us go to Yogananda, because till that time even I was not familiar. This was in year 2015. So she said, I don't know even head and tail of what is Yogananda and all these things. But anyway, we Googled it and we went there. And we have attended those lectures of Yogananda. They were very, very good lectures. I mean, it was very hard to imagine that in such a materialistic kind of country, this kind of ideas and this kind of mm, faculties are there, which try to. I mean, they were all American citizens, and this later on I came to know that this organization is more than 100-year old. It was established in 1920 uh, in uh, uh, in the United States of America by Paramahansa Yogananda. He was sent from here to Boston, and from Boston he spread that kind of thing. So from there I got interest in. I
उसका
mean,
की
kind of.
लर्निंग्स क्या है उस प्रोग्राम का की मैसेज है की लर्निंग्स क्या है विच मी और द पीपल हु आर लिसनिंग टू दिस पॉडकास्ट और जो
Okay, it
हमारे
is
मेंबर्स भी गेन
okay.
कर सकते हैं जिसको
Right. See, what has happened that talking about a very simple book of autobiography of Yogi, there is a separate write-up which I have already shared, and it can be shared with all the readers, or I have already given a link of that autobiography of Yogi, and then about from there, self-realization is basically a scientific technique. Like we study all the subjects, external subjects are there, but we really don't know about ourselves. So, so knowing about ourselves is more important than knowing all other subjects. If we don't understand ourselves and we understand the rest of the things, it's of very little use. And when we become old, then we find that there's a big vacuum in our own life. Even it's not too late to start now also. So those write-ups and links, they can be shared. And this is a too short a time to discuss about them. But there is
just
something
one
called
or two key messages or key practices that we can follow.
key practices is basically that there is something called theory and practice. Like what you are having a science background or which background? You are economics, I will guess.
Mine is commerce background. Yes.
Commerce background. So whatever we read in books and the practice of commerce, I mean, so what is happening that there is something called which is given in the books and whatever is practiced. I think India is the only country in the world which has practiced demonetization is written in the textbooks, but it is nowhere practiced in the world except in India. Okay. So similarly, what is happening that reading about spirituality is one thing, and this practice is in meditation. So the more we read, it's not just uh, remembering, or it's not just satisfying our intellectual curiosity. By meditation, by sitting in silence, if we can listen to our silence, that is the best thing you can learn. That's the best learning we can have.
I'm sure the young people, if there are any young people listening to this podcast, or they would be thinking कि time किसके पास है?
Okay. Time के लिए मैं बताता हूँ कि suppose somebody invests half an hour in meditation. What will happen? His mind will become so efficient that whatever time is saving is much more than half an hour in
That's
his
a very
regular
good
distance.
tip. I think that's a very well said.
See, like we invest some money somewhere, and why we invest? Because we are getting good returns.
Return on investment
A return on
of half an
investment.
hour.
Exactly. So if we sit in meditation for half an hour, our mind becomes more efficient, and we can solve even 2 hour problem uh, in less than that time. So our mind becomes more efficient, eh,
So
rather than.
we have few in our team we have the Gen Z people, and I'm sure they are going to be
Okay.
they will definitely try it out. And I find that this young generation, they do try out new things. They're open to trying new things, and I
Right.
think I'm sure they would try out Pranita, who has been coordinating with you, tells me that she does do meditation.
Hmm.
So I'm sure she's going to be happy that her rest of the day is more productive by half an hour.
Okay. No, I'll
Yeah.
tell you about something. If somebody, a newcomer sits on meditation, you say, okay, you empty your mind. And after sitting for about 2, 3 minutes, the mind will say, oh, there is nothing here. Only silence is there and your eyes are closed. You are not able to see anything. You are able to, let us go back to our own world and get lost in our own entertainment, other thing. It's only when we are able to, uh, actually, this is our own ego, or we are trying to, okay, what do we get after meditation? So that ego questions us only, that why we are spending so much time in that. And
Okay.
slowly we do more and more meditation, then what will happen, that this ego becomes less and less, and then the real game starts.
So I feel that Mr. Dayal has transformed from a nuclear power engineer to a almost the spiritual life of a yogi. The transformation is happening, right?
Right.
It's getting almost complete. Okay.
Mhm.
So let me ask a couple of things now. Coming back to your, your role as a mentor, as a tutor. You are a tutor with our foundation also, and then you are helping young children, those underprivileged children.
Mhm.
Uh, do you think that programs like this are good for for the seniors? Like, how do you feel about these programs? They add purpose to their life. From our side, we think that they are very essential to the mental health, of mental and cognitive health, as the research shows.
Right,
But
right.
as a participant, as a volunteer, do
Mhm.
you have do you have that feeling that it is happening, or what would be your message to other seniors to keep themselves busy and engaged?
Actually, actually, we have to conduct more surveys from the seniors, that what are their expectations,
Okay.
and whatever programs are being done. I mean, they're excellent programs, and there's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
But what are the expectations of the seniors who are attending it?
Mm-hmm.
They just telling good is not enough. Yeah.
Yes.
That okay, the program is good. You are also happy, and I am also happy. So
Absolutely.
it is the audience which has to decide, or uh, actually I have attended some of the lectures which are conducted by American faculties. So they ask, in the end they ask question. Suppose you have to undergo the same program or same interview or the same course again. What changes you expect in this thing, that if we do this, then the program will be better.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of feedback, open-ended feedback.
Yes. I do
Uh,
remember your conversation about House of Quality. I think we didn't get the chance to speak about that. We, kind of
oh,
shifted to the spiritual part,
the
But
house of quality
yeah.
became too complicated, and it was my fault, but I have to simplify it more and more, because if you see the shlokas which are given in Gita, we are not able to correlate with our own lives. Yeah. But if you see Mr. Sridharan, which is called Metro Man of India,
Yes.
he has met after retirement, he is teaching Gita, and he was all along he has studied Gita. What he is able to do, that he is able to connect Gita with his own, in his own life. What
Yes.
Malviya could connect, that he could give lectures and he could understand Gita and give lectures and collect money, and he could fulfill on his own mission of, and Hindu University in the British period, who will give him money? Nobody will
Mm-hmm.
give him. Okay.
Okay.
So he is collecting whatever, it's just like whatever bits and pieces, pennies he has collected and make a huge university. So,
Yes.
so connecting those high funda things to our real life, like you said, Kaizen, everybody knows. But how many people can give you an example? Okay, this idea of Kaizen I have implemented in this part of my office or my life, and I made it better.
Mm-hmm.
Kaizen is good. Kaizen everybody knows, continuous improvement. But
Yeah.
how many of them they have implemented Kaizen in their own lives? That
Mm-hmm.
is what matters.
So basically, we do get a lot of advice, we do know a lot of things, but we may not practice them in our life, right?
Exactly.
So
Like,
let me ask you a question: that what is a piece of advice that you received but you did not follow it?
oh, so many things. I mean, about 90% of the things. If people say that so much of wisdom is floating on social media, even if it is 10% of that wisdom is implemented, this will start living in Satyug.
Yes,
So,
true.
so that is the
नहीं,
thing.
आप अपने बारे में बताइए. Some piece of advice which you you thought it was good but you didn't follow it or you could not follow it.
Uh, well, I should have come in contact with Paramahansa Yogananda much earlier. I knew about him, but uh, I was more influenced by Swami Vivekananda earlier this thing.
What is the difference between the two? Like, why do you say that विवेकानंदा के influence में थे आप तो इधर नहीं आए?
Actually, what happened that Swami Vivekananda, what happened that Swami Vivekananda philosophy is based on Vedanta.
Mm-hmm.
Vedanta philosophy is there. That
Okay.
itself is a very, very profound philosophy. There is no doubt about it.
Okay.
But again, one has to meditate to understand that Vedanta.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. But in what happens that in Yogananda, uh, there is a series of lessons are there. And if you go through those lessons seriously and you try to understand them, and then what happens that it's a very, very systematic approach uh, for
We'll
spirituality.
definitely look that up. I mean, I personally would definitely like. I think that's a very. You have put it very well. In a very nice way that to imbibe, to even understand the teachings of some of the profound masters, बना एक level तक preparation होना चाहिए.
Mhm.
अगर ABCD नहीं आएगा sentence कैसे बनाएंगे?
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
if one was to compare. So I
Exactly.
think I get that point, and that's I think that maybe that explains a lot to me for about some of the things that I think about. I think this has been a very big
Mhm.
understanding, clarity to me, in that
Mhm.
sense.
Mhm.
Okay, so we are almost coming to the end of the end of the 1 hour that we had budgeted. Maybe there were some questions in my mind or in my list which I haven't gone through, or maybe there was something that you wanted to speak about,
Mhm.
that we didn't get a chance to. If there is anything that you want to add to what we have said, otherwise I can have some quick round of questions on
Okay,
something
question. You
not
can ask
so
questions. Huh?
nothing profound in those questions. Those are
Mm.
just quick round questions
Okay.
to know
Okay.
more about Sudhakar Dayal than not the nuclear power engineer, not the knowledge management expert, but the
Mm-hmm.
person. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the person. So, how old are you?
I am 69-year-old.
69. And what are you doing? What practices do you do to to be a super ager?
Do
सुपर
so.
एजर मैं आपको इसलिए बोल रही हूँ कि मेंटली डेफिनेटली आई डू नॉट नो आई मीन आई वाज स्पीकिंग टू डॉक्टर विनोद कुमार सुपर एजर इज समवन
Mm.
whose biological age and is quite different than the chronological age. So you
Mm-hmm.
may be 69, but I think your mind is very active and young, it appears to me. So what do you do to keep healthy and fit?
Physically activeness should be there. And walking is one of the good exercise for me. But I'm walking only, not regular walk, but 3 or 4 times a week.
आप हमारा
Okay.
स्टेप अप आप हमारा एक स्टेप काउंट चैलेंज है वो
हाँ,
ज्वाइन करिए.
वो मैंने ज्वाइन किया था. One day I have to join. It's very, very good program.
Yeah.
11 o'clock every day. 11 o'clock it is
No,
happening.
no, that is the daily dose of health.
हाँ.
Step count challenge happens once in a while. We will be coming up with a monthly step count challenge
Wow.
soon. So
Okay.
maybe you should participate. If you're fond of walking, I think then you would be one of the
Sure.
and the
Sure.
win.
Huh.
So, what's your favorite food? Has it changed from childhood to now?
Favorite food is masala dosa because it is
But
available anywhere in Bombay, right from dhaba to five-star hotel.
वो यूपी के लोगों का तो वो फेवरेट मतलब वो ट्रेडिशनल खाना नहीं है यूपी का.
हाँ, यूपी का नहीं है, but then masala dosa is one of my
Is your
favorites.
favorite?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. अभी कोई जगह बची है बकेट लिस्ट में जो अभी जाना है कहीं पे घूमने के लिए, इंडिया में या बाहर?
Uh, no, no, there's
नो?
no such.
वाह।
It's not that I have been everywhere, but I prefer to uh, uh, I prefer to know more about it from here. It's by sitting here itself. Like I want to know more and more about Japan, and lot
ओके।
of information is available upon about Japan. And there are so many stories about Japan which
Yeah.
I can share
We
later on.
came to know that they're dumping their nuclear waste in the sea. That was a news to me. I thought that country was really ethical. Okay. So
No,
are
no,
you a morning person or a night owl? आप जल्दी उठते हैं?
morning person, morning
Morning
person.
person. That think you think that that's a better way? That's a better way to go?
Yes, because the more spiritual person will rise earlier in the morning. This is the somewhere I have read, and I wake up at around 5 o'clock. But more spiritual person will wake up even at 4 o'clock, 3:30, and
Okay.
start meditating.
Oh, okay. Something that you can't live without.
नहीं ऐसा तो there's hardly anything.
अ,
Hmm.
सब कुछ भी त्याग सकते हैं?
हाँ, मतलब I cannot live without water because I always carry a
No,
water
no, no,
bottle
no.
with me.
No, no, we are not asking you to give water and air. No, 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 no. We are not.
Hmm,
Yeah, yeah. No,
hmm.
no. But I
But
think, yes, it's been very nice talking to you, Mr. Dayal. And
mhm.
if there is anything that you would like to, say or something, a message to the young generation, to the senior citizens, to your fellow colleagues, please.
Okay. I mean, see, first thing is that everyone should be, there is a, I will reproduce again Swami Vivekananda. He says, Charai Veti, Charai Veti. Keep on moving wherever you are from, whatever position you are. Keep on moving, and you will reach somewhere. If you are just, yeah, that is the thing. Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. बहुत अच्छा ये message है. I think keep moving. That
Move.
that's
Keep,
that's really really nice.
wherever you are, whatever in condition you are, keep moving. Just don't stand there or start weeping. Charaveti, Charaveti. That is the Vivekananda's thing.
Okay, I did not know. I did not know. Thank you so much for enlightening us. It has
Thank
been
you.
a really pleasure to host this talk. I hope you also enjoyed it as much as
Oh
we.
yes, yes.
And my now to our listeners, please do if you like it, do subscribe to our channel and watch out for the next episode. Till then, stay inspired, keep learning. Thank you very much.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Namaste.